Welcome to Culture and Education. So, let me ask you a question. What happens when a private sin becomes a very public spectacle? Well, today, we're going to dive into exactly that with one of the most powerful stories in American literature, Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. You know, the famous writer D.H. Lawrence called it a perfect work of the American imagination. And honestly, that's not an exaggeration. This book is so much more than just a story. It's a really deep look into the heart of hypocrisy, shame, and ultimately survival. So let's break down what makes it so incredibly powerful. So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the scandal that kicks everything off. Then we'll untangle this crazy web of secrets and get to the final confession. After that, we'll decode the book's famous symbols and, finally, talk about why this story still hits so hard today. All right, let's get right into it. Part 1, a Puritan scandal. The story opens in a place where, trust me, everyone is watching, and one woman is standing right at the center of all their judgment. Okay, so I want you to picture this. We're in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, way back in 1642. This is a society built on super strict Puritan law, a place where the state of your soul is literally everyone's business. And right now, a big crowd is gathering, and they're there to see what they call justice. And who's at the center of it all? A young woman named Hester Prynne. Her crime? She's had a child, but she's not married. So her punishment is basically to become a walking, talking lesson in shame. She has to stand on the town scaffold for hours, and then, for the rest of her life, she has to wear a big scarlet letter A on her chest. A for adultery. But right here, in this moment of total humiliation, she does something incredibly strong. She absolutely refuses to name the baby's father. So Hester's silence, it's a huge act of defiance, right? But it definitely comes at a cost. See, her secret isn't just her secret. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It creates this toxic web that's about to trap 3 other people in a nasty spiral of guilt and revenge. So Hester gets out of prison and has to build a life on the very edge of town, literally and figuratively. And you know what? She bears her punishment with this quiet, unshakable dignity. She becomes this amazing seamstress, using her skills to help the poor, the very same people who shun her every single day. Meanwhile, you've got the town's most beloved figure, the young minister, Arthur Dimmesdale. He's this charismatic, holy man, but he's also physically wasting away. There's some mysterious illness plaguing him. The whole town sees a man of God, a saint. What they don't see is a man being eaten alive from the inside out by a terrible secret. And then, as if things weren't complicated enough, a stranger shows up. He calls himself Roger Chillingworth, a physician. But here's the twist. He's actually Hester's husband, who everyone thought was lost at sea. And he's not interested in his wife anymore. Oh no. He has one mission and one mission only: to find her lover and absolutely destroy him with a cold, calculated revenge. This right here, this is where Hawthorne's psychological genius really comes out. Think about it. Hester's sin is totally public. She wears it on her chest for everyone to see, and it isolates her. But Dimmesdale's sin? It's completely private. And you could argue it's so much worse. It's this internal, invisible torment that's just corroding him from the inside, all while the world is praising him as a living saint. What a contrast. So you've got all this pressure building up. Secrets, guilt, revenge. It's like a powder keg, and it just can't last forever. Years go by, the tension just keeps ratcheting up, and it all leads to one of the most powerful and famous climaxes in all of American literature. The whole story is brilliantly structured around 3 key scenes, and they all take place in the exact same spot, the town's scaffold. The first time, it's a place of public shaming, just for Hester. Then, years later, Dimmesdale goes there. It's a place of his own private, secret torment. And finally, on election day, it becomes the stage where the truth finally explodes into the open for everyone to see. And after that massive public confession, the whole web just breaks.
Chillingworth, who was basically living for revenge, he just withers away and dies within a year. His purpose is gone. Pearl gets a huge inheritance from him, and she's able to escape to a new life in Europe, and Hester, in this really stunning final move, she eventually comes back, and she chooses to put the Scarlet Letter back on. But this time, it's not a mark of shame. It's a symbol of everything she's been through, of her own hard-won wisdom.
Okay, so that's the plot. But the story's real power, the thing that makes it a classic, is the symbolism. Let's dig into what it all really means.
I mean, this is where Hawthorne's genius is just on full display. He packs so much meaning into everything. That letter A on Hester's chest, it starts out meaning adultery, of course, but over the years, as people see her strength and charity, it starts to mean able. Her daughter Pearl is like a living, breathing version of the Scarlet Letter herself, a constant, beautiful, and sometimes difficult reminder of where she came from. The scaffold, that awful place of public shame, ends up being the only place where the truth can finally be revealed. And then there's the meteor that Dimmesdale sees, tracing a giant A across the night sky. He sees it as a sign from God, just for him.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? The really crucial point is that for both Hester and Dimmesdale, their sin is, incredibly destructive. But it also gives them something. It forces them into this painful knowledge, this deep empathy for others. They gain an insight into what Hawthorne calls the sinful brotherhood of mankind, a kind of shared humanity that the so-called righteous townspeople just don't have.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question. This book was written over 170 years ago. Why are we still talking about it? What makes it such a timeless American classic? Well, it's because the themes are just as relevant today as they were back then. Think about it. Public shaming versus private guilt. The individual fighting against a conformist society. The absolute hypocrisy that can hide behind a mask of righteousness. The very nature of sin and what it means to be redeemed. These are huge universal ideas. The story is still playing out all around us.
I mean, seriously, just think about our world right now. We live in an age of online shaming, of public callouts, where judgment is instant and often brutal. Hester Prynne's story feels more relevant than ever. It leaves us with a really tough question to think about. In our own lives, when we judge others, are we really seeking justice, or are we just looking for another spectacle? And what does real dignity even look like when you're facing that kind of public condemnation?
We really hope this breakdown helped illuminate the incredible, enduring power of the Scarlet Letter. If you found this insightful, please do subscribe to the Culture and Education channel. We've got a lot more deep dives into classic literature and big ideas coming your way.